basically the synonym or what what RPA actually does is that it takes a lot of codes, low codes, millions and millions of codes, people come together and uses those codes, you understand, to optimize processes, with technology. So when people hear automation in the past, and they now say that, okay, there is a problem, with optimization of technology using automation. So essentially what happens, like Brother Said actually mentioned initially, in the first instance is that you see, for example, take a bank. In those days, you want to run a bank, you have to put server somewhere. And today, somebody can get a license, if Nigeria gets to that level, it buys a space in cloud, runs some application, hosts those services, it becomes a bank. Before, that is the dynamic. That is what is changing, and that's why the fintech are actually also playing into the space that the traditional banks are playing. So the threat is there, but the threat comes with opportunities. I think what we should be, develop ourselves, and I think one of the skill set that can easily, quickly be, the gotten by people to, enhance whatever thing you're doing. I think it's RPA. So, and today now is actually merging with machine learning and artificial intelligence, and both of them are beginning to create so much exciting opportunities out there. So the title is Fourth Industrial Revolution. And we tried to, we're trying to create an awareness that this is actually not something that would have to take your jobs, especially for us in Africa. We have the people. All we need to do is to skill our guys. Secondary school holders can get these RPA skills. Like we see nowadays, some secondary school holders are doing ICANN, and before you know it, while they're in university trying to get their BScs, they're already doing some audit work and they're making money. So the idea about this is to present Africa and present Nigerians and turn this our youthful population into something that will become an economic fortress post-COVID. Because, like, I just want to give an example. My firm is just 9 months old, and the firm I work for is 9 months old. And today, like 2-3 weeks ago, we received an offer, although we did not scale through the offer, from a Swiss firm that is willing to invest 50 million naira into our firm. 50 million naira. This is just a firm that is just 9 months old, because they looked around, they said they searched, and they found out that we were doing RPA, and we'd already taken the skilling level of RPA to some universities. We've delivered. So they were excited. They didn't believe it. And it's okay. Can we get some shares in your company? We would be willing to invest this 50 million. That's just an example of what is happening in the future. That finance is also lying low in Europe. They are looking for opportunities here and there. So we are taking the message to NIDA. So NIDA told us that anywhere we have, we should just ensure that, we put the message, that the message is also from the government to people, that this is the future. People should imbibe it. People should see the opportunities in it and see how they can reskill themselves. And the most important thing is to reskill yourself, take advantage of this, this initiative, and use it to drive you this. So the mindset we were telling people even before the COVID period, we had actually been going around to tell government, schools, business owners that automation is the right way to go. But there's a lag, like Brother Said actually, that is the people skill lag. So we found out that in Nigeria, there's so much huge space. There's so much opportunities that can be tapped into, but there are no people to do it. So, and that was what actually led us to universities, tell them, get them some licenses to at least educate their people. So, absolutely, what actually brought RPA was, when you look at production, this is now productivity, this is now the real, we're going to the real gist of the matter. In the last 20 years, productivity line across the world, I'm sorry I didn't put that slide there. Productivity slide, trend, across the world has actually been dipping. What I mean by productivity, what productivity actually means is that you have technology, you have people that you've trained, but you need to put You need to make that technology become, deliver value. That is the essence. So it was from there people now came up to say, okay, the gap between technology and people is actually process. Can we use technology to improve processes by ensuring that people becomes much more, people and technology actually, have more value for every investment that is being made. So please, I'm reiterating again. What we have is that we have a lot of people, we have businesses, we have government who have imbibed technology. Yes, and they've made a lot of investment in technology. However, there's the people skill, but people, technology, and process must combine together to give value. So there was a chart across the world, and so many countries actually fell down on the productivity chart. So some people came up in 2006, 2007 to say, okay, let's start seeing how we can use technology to bridge the process gap. And that was what led to low code, applications like RPA. So what RPA essentially does is that it uses software, but that is the hard. People hear about robots. So there's robots for the hardware, you understand, using IoT and other things. They call them bots. They came up with that and said, okay, whatever we have in technology, let us optimize and use them effectively by, creating soft robots to take process and technology and people and merge them together to make companies much more productive. What does that imply? It implies that for every $1 you give, we didn't rent any building. So automation, and we knew that we're going to a service environment. So when we started 2 years ago, but when we started operations, no cost of generator, no cost of people. I'm just trying to explain to you. Some people are going to SMEs and they're in the service line and they're going to rent a house. Absolutely, this is going to kill a lot of people. So the only cost we incurred, because we understood automation, we've gone through the course, we know the business side a bit. How we're going to, bring it down to Nigeria is always the challenge. And we don't need to think about 3-4 million naira to rent any building. Obviously, we have an office we call an automation center. We pay some bits of maybe, I think it's the last 9 months, we not even paid of 50,000 naira, 100,000 naira for that office that we use in and out for meetings. So what I'm saying, but we've been able to run our businesses. Today we are talking to AFDB, African Development Bank. Today we're absolutely partners to almost like 10 firms across the world. But we did not, we had people working for us prior to COVID. So when it comes to automation, now we have to change the mindset. It's not the automation we used to think about in those days. Automation is taking a real change of dynamic. And the first thing is for you to change the mindset. So you have to look at automation now today from a mix. It's a fine mix of actually gives you value to, and you can use robots to now mimic when they have to move files up and down. There's really no value. Honestly, there's absolutely no value. We had a presentation for some people in NNPC. That's what they're calling us back for some months back on these EDMS. But today, the government, maybe because of COVID, has issued a directive on a national level that MDAs have to automate. We received the document some days back. So what does it imply? It implies that all those files have to go online. Unfortunately for the government, they don't have a private VPN, or maybe the company that is probably on the federal level that I know, that's supposed to actually protect the interests of the government, probably on data security, galactic backbone. Infrastructures are not there, so the challenges are huge. So when we talk today that we can get 1 million people jobs, it's possible. We just have to find a way to educate people, build human capacity, and we're going to be there. So that's the first thing about the mindset. So this is the journey people looked up. The first industrial revolution, the second, third, fourth. We're actually in the fourth industrial revolution, and we even surpassed it. So the most important thing for us in Africa, and I always have this discussion, is that we have to And again, let me say something about the mindset. That's the most important thing before we go into the real topic, is that, when internet, when people were typing with typewriters and computers came, Excel, Word, and Co replaced those activities. A lot of people felt they're going to lose their job. What has happened? It has created more jobs. All people need to do was just to change their mindset to fit in into the world. If you don't know how to use Excel and PowerPoint, nobody's going to type with typewriter again. And the same thing is happening with this automation first mindset. And today with that, and also of course, with advent of those automations in those days, what we can call the automation of the third generation in those days, it didn't mean that printing of papers have stopped. Printing of papers have even increased with the internet, with the use of Microsoft Word, Excel, and other tools. So that is the dynamics. What happened is that once people change the mindset and they come in, they are going to diversify their effort, input their own input, and it becomes probably a wider thing. For example, one of the things we're trying to do for SMEs, we're trying to talk to NIDA and some other organizations on, is that, okay, even if the SMEs cannot, afford the robots, the software robots for now, we can actually do something that would, align SMEs with similar, processes, and we can give them a 24-hour slot, 2 hours, 1 hour, 3 hours, 4 hours for their non-sensitive data that can be put on the cloud. And you will see that the same $1,000 license for a year, it will be shared by 24 people, 24 firms. And with that, they will be able to come back to, because there's a body called NECA. There's the umbrella for for corporate SMEs and corporate firms in Nigeria. They gave us a data last week that 75% of organizations in Nigeria are about closing down. SMEs and about closing down or threatening to close down. So we had to come out with this idea that, okay, no problems. But the major problem is that the solutions for this are actually not developed in Nigeria. We have to, get a license somewhere and start implementing and customizing it. But if today we have a skill set to be able to do these bots, you understand? People like 1,000 people coming together with some ideas, we would have our own Nigerian bot. Lasomega will have his own bot. Lasomega today, if he's selling his own bot, for example, for maybe $200, I'm just saying, even $100, 100K in a year, it could be generating about 30, 40 million for itself in the next 5 to 10 years. So what the intelligent automation has, so we're now moving from an automation era to intelligent automation era. So this is what we've learned, and I think the value has gone up according to Forbes estimation. That is a $512 billion that this industry will create. I remember again one of our conversation with the Ministry of Education on this issue again. Because for me, I'm actually more passionate about the scaling part, because if you skill people well, people would bring in their own ideas, and they can actually now, in true sense, create something for you on a local economy, for the local economy. That's, for me, it's not the enterprise. The enterprise gives money into my pocket, but I could use UiPath, I could use Blue Prism, I could use Automate Anywhere. Eventually, people will automate. They will have to improve their processes. But what happens to the millions of Nigerians that can actually, use the fact that if you give them 300,000 naira per month, somebody who's in US would think, oh, this guy's going to get 300,000 per month in Nigeria. I don't need to pay $5,000 there, and I can do this. This guy can do this thing by supporting me remotely. So let me give it to him. If you have 300,000 naira and 100,000 people get that job, and maybe tax of 20,000 naira goes to the government, it's a lot of money. But if we don't, that is not us again, the government. If the government people also don't look at how to create, I'm not talking about only, I'm not talking about how pay alone. Also, we have to also look at, the attendant issues like cybersecurity, IoT. There are a lot of things that we can do. I think what we need to be doing, like Brother Said has said, you gotta, like he said now, a lot of people have challenges with connecting to Zoom, connecting to a lot of things. You begin to wonder, why can't we have our own local calls in Nigeria? Why can't we have this infrastructure? What does it take to do this infrastructure? So these are the discussion that needs to happen at the government end, but also we as individuals. I'm going to share you some links that you can go to get all this training free. We're struggling now with.
Thank you very much.
Okay, fine.
Thank you. No, you can just conclude. You can.
Okay, fine. Let me conclude. Okay, fine. So let me just go to today's. This is the last one. So the idea is that we need to be aware that we will what's it called? We need to be aware that we can build. We don't need to be excellent programmers. Eventually, it's good to go along that line. You can start, visiting maybe uipath.com, Blue Prism and Co. to learn how to, how process technology and and people can help you reduce modern activities. So you're actually moving from the fringe of the knowledge economy to the middle of the knowledge economy. Once you are aware about it, you learn about it, you can deliver. And I'm sure maybe one day Las Omega also can have their own bot, and what we feel will happen eventually is that process automation will drive technology, performance, people, and organization to the next, as we move to the 5G from 4G. Thank you very much.
Jazakumullah khairan. Thank you very much. You've kicked off thoughts. Thank you for the excellent presentation. So one of the key areas you mentioned in the process of your discussion was around cybersecurity. So that's going to take us to our next discussion, which will be delivered by one of our very own, Brother Elias Oyenuga. He would be taking a discussion on cybersecurity and privacy. So prior to bringing him on, we will just be taking a quick introduction. I hope you have the audio.
Forward-thinking business leaders are talking about cybersecurity and privacy solutions, not just problems. They're thinking more broadly about cybersecurity and privacy as both protectors and enablers of business. The fact is, advanced cybersecurity measures can be a competitive advantage. This year's Global State of Information Security Survey findings show that organizations are focusing on 4 key areas to help make that happen. First, the survey shows that many are pivoting to a cloud-centric cybersecurity model. Why? Because the cloud provides an interconnected architecture for a powerful integrated security program, and that can make your cybersecurity a truly differentiating business capability. Second, as all organizations become more digital, an intuitive and highly secure digital experience is a must-have. However, the security of that digital experience will depend on how well an organization can manage threats and other risks. Forward-thinking organizations know that real-time monitoring and threat analysis are integral to an effective cybersecurity and privacy program. They also understand that sharing threat intelligence and response techniques with business peers, industry groups, and government agencies is equally essential. Next, despite powerful promises, the Internet of Things represents a significant cybersecurity and privacy concern. That's why businesses are proactively creating a security strategy for the Internet of Things. Priorities include updating data governance policies and developing security training for employees. Finally, we're seeing that in a digitally connected world, nation-states and hacktivists present dangerous new risks. Attacks by these adversaries are difficult to detect, but many businesses are updating practices to gain actionable visibility into threats by geographic region. To get there, you'll need an arsenal of updated processes, technologies, and people skills. The shortlist includes advanced monitoring and analytics, sophisticated threat detection and analysis tools, proactive threat intelligence sharing, and ongoing employee training. Together, all 4 of these strategies can help organizations see the big picture and focus resources on a clear, actionable cybersecurity plan, helping them achieve their goals in the face of change. For more insights on
now we would be moving on to Brother Elias. Do we have him?
Yeah. Assalamu alaikum wa barakatuh, everyone.
Wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. So nice to have you. Thank you for joining us. Though the time zone, I can imagine what the time is.
Yeah, yeah, thank you for the opportunity. Assalamu alaikum, everyone. Yeah, so pardon my voice if it's a bit squeaky. It's a bit early in the morning over here, so please bear with me. So I was Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. So I would like to share my screen. Just give me 1 second. Just 1 second, please. Can everyone see my screen? Can you see my screen?
Yes, we can.
Okay, good. Okay, so I want to focus on 2 things, right? And Jazakumullah khairan, Brother Saeed and Brother Bamdele, for really sharing with us what some of the emerging trends that have disrupted the global economy today. I would like to start by taking a step back and allowing us to understand some of the things that we need to do, some of the things that we need to get right as it relates to our career development. As we look at all these emerging trends, some questions may arise that, okay, how do I take myself to the next level? How do I set myself apart in my current organization? What are the things that I need to do to make sure that I become indispensable, not just today, but also in the future? So I want us to really level set on that piece. And that is why, let me know, give me a second. Sorry. So I just want to make this out. So, okay, good. So I want to talk about some strategic imperatives for each and every one of us. And this is industry agnostic, it is skills agnostic, and it is also career agnostic. Meaning, it doesn't matter what industry area that you are currently in today. These strategic imperatives are things that would allow you to succeed both currently and also as we look at the future. I've categorized them into 2 key buckets. What are the things that you must not fail in? Meaning, you fail in them, you're as good as being in the labor market. And some of the things that you have to get right. And those are things that, to a very large extent, would set you apart from your peers, which in this case are more or less your competitors. So I'll start by the things that you should not fail in. And because of time, I won't go into everything. I'll just pick on a couple of items here. I think the first thing that we really need to do is you've got to define, what does success mean to you, right? What does success mean to you? And there's really no right or wrong definition of what success in your career looks like. The important thing is to figure out, what does success look like for you as a person? And the other thing is, success, or that definition, will probably change along your career path. But if you don't have any sort of milestone on the horizon, then you don't really know which direction you're going in. So basically what will happen is, you will just be following the trend. You'll be following the head, right? And I could recall back in our last few days then, I recalled, networking was in vogue, and everybody wanted to do networking. So everybody just followed that path without necessarily defining, what does that really mean for me? I remember back then, there was this financial boom where financial organizations, Oceanic Bank, Zenith Bank, they were paying 100,000, 200,000, which was a big deal back then, right? Then you found engineers, you found IT folks, you found people with little or no financial background, they followed that trend, right? Without taking a step back to define, what does this really mean for me? So I think it's very important that you have to really think about, what does professional success mean for you? Once that has been defined, then you follow that path. Now, if you're already in the industry and you've not yet defined that, it's not too late to define what it is, right? Because then that really creates a form of focus for you and makes sure that everything you're doing ties to that definition. Now, the second thing I'd like to talk about real quick here is building your brand. I recall when I joined my company, PwC, and they told us, oh, you have to build your brand. I didn't really understand what it meant, right? But after a couple of years, you start understanding that in your company today, in your organization today, or wherever you're working today, what are you known for? So if you meet your CEO in an elevator, or you just meet him in the company's restaurant, and you only have 30 seconds with your CEO. Some of us know what is called an elevator pitch, right? You have 30 seconds with your CEO, and he's asking you, who is Abdul Rashid? Who is Zainab? Who is Ilyas, right? What are you going to talk about? What's your brand? What are you known for? When people hear your name, what do they associate with your name in your department, in your unit, in your organization? And your brand would become something that makes you indispensable in the organization. You become the go-to guy. You become the go-to sister in your organization. The other thing I would also like to talk about is about skill sets. As Brother Said and Brother Bamdele has mentioned, the world is changing. The world has changed, right? Some of the conventional, traditional things we do before may not become applicable. Some of them are becoming stale and are not going to become, they're no longer applicable. Let me just put it that way, right? So as you think about moving forward in your career, right, you not only need to deepen some of the applicable skill sets that you have now, but it is absolutely important for you to broaden your skill set. You have to pick up new skills. There is no way you can survive in today's global world in any area, be it IT, oil and gas, mechanical engineering, automation. There is absolutely no way you can succeed in today's world if you don't have the mindset of picking up new skills. Otherwise, you would be left behind. You'll be left behind quickly. Now, the last thing I'll talk about in things that you must not fail in is owning your career, right? No one, absolutely no one can decide how your career evolves. You would have to own it. You would have to orchestrate your career. That is why you would see today, I'm going to give us a very typical practical example of Brother Bamidele, because I'm quite close to Brother Bamidele, with Affinity. If you look at Brother Affinity's career path over the last 10 years, you would see that he started off in consulting when he worked at Accenture, right? Then he moved into telecoms, spent lots of years in the telecom space, right? And right now, he's moving into automation, which is next gen technology, right? He is a living example of how you own your career path. You don't sit down and wait for things to happen. You've got to stand up, get up, and make things happen for yourself. Pardon me, I would have to speak in Yoruba here. But you now get stuck in a place. You have to move, right? So you have to be the one to own your career. You have to be the one to decide how your career path looks like. Now, it may not be the most financially incentive path that you take. It may be at that point, right? It may not necessarily be a path that people really understand why, and you don't really owe people any explanation per se, right? But an excuse that majority of us typically give in terms of, oh, I'm just here because this is what I can find. Or I'm just here because it is what it is. This is the best I can do it. I don't think that excuse would suffice in this world in which we are living in. Things are moving very fast, right? Now, some of the things that you must get right, for those of us that are just starting our careers, maybe 3 years, 4 years in our careers, one of the things that is really valuable is for us to seek out mentors. Seek out mentors, seek out people that have been there, people that can help you refine and reach your career goals, people that would give you perspectives on how you can get to the next level. And for those of us that have been maybe 7, 8, 9, 10 years and above in our careers, and you're thinking about going to the next level, you don't necessarily need mentors. You need what is called advocates. People that would advocate for you, people that would say, Abdul Rashid, Abdulaziz, it is time for you to become a director. Where is your director business case? So I have some colleagues in my company where they felt they were not ready to become a partner. No, a partner means you're like a CEO. Let me just put it that way. So they felt they were not ready to be partners or to become to take up executive management positions, right? At that instance, they don't need mentors. You find senior partners, you find senior folks at that executive management positions that would come to you and say, hey, I want Abdul Rashid to become the next CTO. Abdul Rashid, where is your business case to become the next CTO? I'm going to support you for the next 2 years and guide you and provide you those opportunities that would position you for that senior position. That is what you would need, right? And you can only get those opportunities if you have an advocate that is advocating for you. You can only get those opportunities, and you can only get advocates if you become indispensable to a particular organization. And you can only become indispensable if you have defined what success means to you. So you can see how all these things are all interrelated. The other thing I would also want to talk about real quick is around exploiting the benefits at your disposal. So what do I mean by this? For so many of us, we have the opportunities to take part in trainings. We have the opportunities to attend webcasts, either online, well, in today's world, it's going to be online. Now, some of them may not be, may require some money. And and I'm sorry, I'm going to be splitting between Yoruba and English here because of some things I really want to pass. Party, post on Instagram, do all those funny things. We can as well save up the money and help upskill ourselves. Excuses of, oh, there is no light. Oh, Nigeria, you know how Nigeria is. There is no light. Oh, internet service is not too good. Oh, I'm always exhausted when I get home because of traffic. Legitimate excuses, but they're excuses that would not really hold water if you really want to set yourself apart in today's world. So we all have opportunities. We all have lots of things at our disposal. Let's leverage them. Let's maximize them. So the last thing I want to talk about here real quick is you have to speak up. So many of us in our companies or in our organizations, we just keep quiet. We do mundane tasks. We just do what is. I'm a telecoms engineer. I have to look at this report every day. That is all we do every day, right? So far I get my paycheck at the end of the month, I'm okay, right? We don't raise up our hands. If you want more responsibilities in your job, then you speak up. If you want more challenges in your job, then you speak up. If you feel like there are things that you want to do in the organization, there are areas you want to explore, in organizations, there are new frontiers you want to pursue in your organization, then speak up, right? In cybersecurity, we say something that if we don't know what is out there, then it becomes difficult for us to protect, right? So as I said, don't wait for responsibilities. Don't wait for people to give you things. You go grab them. And also, if you feel like you're ready to get promoted in the organization, right, then you also have to speak up that, okay, you know what, this year, I want to become a senior director. And these are the 5 things I am going to do to become a senior director. Then you speak up with your line manager. So again, I just wanted to level set with us real quick on some of the things that we can do today that would help us get to the next level in our career path.
Jazakumullah khairan. Sorry, are you?
No, I would like to take maybe 1 or 2 minutes, and this will be
that's fine.
Yeah. So this will be quick. Now we've talked about emerging trends, right? And what I've done is, this is not exhaustive, but this is just some of the things that are going on right now, right? Emerging trends, this would be with us for the next 5, 10, 11, 5, 10, 20 years, right? We've talked about automation. Everything is getting automated now. From a cybersecurity perspective, automation would not necessarily is not going to become a trend. It's going to become a necessity. Why? Because of the fact that the growing security threats, we have the continued lack of security experts, right, would make automation a big necessity in companies. We are looking at big data and data analytics. Everything now is generating data from your car, from your phones, from wearables, from your TV, everything generating data. Now, that poses lots of security challenges in terms of being able to protect that data. Then you look at artificial intelligence. Artificial intelligence, the way that poses its own security risk is from a point of the adversary, right? Now you look at places like North Korea, places like Russia, places like Iran, Iraq, even US itself, right? People are becoming very sophisticated in manipulating systems, right? All those manual processes that we use in intruding systems, people don't use that again. When people launch denial of service attacks, they launch it in such a way that it is distributed and it overwhelms an entire region. Like 3 years ago, the entire East Coast of US was almost brought down to its knees because a particular state actor launched a denial of service attack. And now these are not things that happen manually, right? There is a bit of AI that drives these kinds of attacks. So how do you stay ahead of that game from a security perspective? You need to upskill yourself from an AI perspective. And the last thing I'll talk about is edge computing. Now, we all know today data is on the edge. Now, what do I mean by this? It means from a cybersecurity perspective, we want to bring data closer to the geographic area where it is needed, as opposed to centralized location. So if I need data right now in US, the data would not be in Nigeria. It would not be in the Africa region. The data would not be in the Asia Pacific region. They would bring the data close to the North American region, right? And that by itself also poses its own security risk, because it brings on its own new vulnerabilities. And it also now, when you bring data to the edge, it expands the data surface area, meaning the surface area in which cybersecurity attacks can occur becomes increased. I would round up by saying, I spent a bit of time on cybersecurity because that's my field. But as you look at all the other trends that I've called out here, from those autonomous driving, for those of us in mechanical engineering, vis-a-vis automotive engineering, from drone technology, from microseismic monitoring of our oil lakes, for those of us in oil and gas, extended reality, even for those of us in oil and gas. If you're in oil and gas today and you don't know what extended reality is, which ties back to virtual reality, augmented reality, then you're like 3-4 years behind your peers, right? If you are in mechanical engineering today and you don't know what nano engineering is, nanotechnology, then you're a bit behind the curve. So these are some of the things in which 3D, the other thing is 3D virtual modeling, right? You have to find a way to change your mindset and to consistently upskill yourself. Otherwise, as I said, your peers and your competitors out there would leave you behind, and they would really leave you behind real quick. Again, thank you for the opportunity. I'm really appreciative for the work that LastMega is doing, and I think this is a step in the right direction. Thank you.
Jazakumullah khairan. We can't. I really can't say if we can get it any better than that from Brother Elias. He has hit it spot on. A consultant that speaks to you with only 2 slides. However, he can speak on the slides for the next 6 hours and still engage you. We are very grateful for that insight. Please keep your questions coming. We would not want to waste any more time and go to our last facilitator for the day, which is Engineer Faid Olajide. I had read out his bio earlier, so we will just go ahead to take his presentation. Engineer Faid, Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Thank you very much for having me. I am really grateful to be here, and I feel, even without having started my own session, I feel really fulfilled to be part of the work that's going on here. We pray that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala grant us success and keep on the right path and guide us. I'd like to say that I want to first commend LastMega for the Hello? Hello? Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Okay, good. For this important program and the snippets and all the advice and information that's been shared by my brothers, Brother Said Balogun, Brother Kunle Bamidele, Brother Elias are just golden. I mean, for many of us, we won't understand how important what Brother Elias has just spoken about. This is what engineers need to add to our training right from school before we get to the to our work environment, and because sometimes it takes some time before many of us get together that and come to that reality. So I want to say that the lack of information itself is one of the biggest threats to a successful career. And I think what LastMega is doing is that you are providing the information upfront to people in order for them to be able to make the right decisions about their career. So that's very important. So now I will go to Fintech. I just want everybody that is on this webinar to understand that this is a unique opportunity, and those snippets of advice and things that have been shared are quite germane. You can't move up in your career without those kind of advices that Brother Elias gave. And of course, I'm going to round up my own part too with that. But first, I move to financial technology. So I give a brief about financial technology, and then I talk about something that is closer to how to really move yourself into that area. So I'm going to share my screen. All right, okay. All right, okay, so we want to go into what we know as fintech today. Fintech is a buzzword, and it's what everybody wants to be in, because we are always hearing that there's a lot of money that's coming in from foreign investors into new fintech companies and all of that. And so it's an area that's interesting for people to go into, and they want to also study, they want to find out what is happening there, and they want to take opportunities in this area. But what is fintech? Fintech is mainly just, I think, would say, a meeting point between finance and technology, where you use technology to enhance the delivery of financial services. So it's a term that is used to refer to innovations in the financial and technology crossover space, and typically refers to companies or services that use technology to provide financial services to businesses or consumers. So today, I will still get to where we're using a lot of this, and why Nigeria is a golden market for this. So fintech is an emerging industry that uses technology to improve the activities in the finance. Now we have, just to give an overview, some 4 main technologies that are being used, and some segments and clusters that I would also want us to understand how to get a map of that fintech space. So when we talk about those 4 main technologies, they are: 1, distributed ledgers, artificial intelligence, APIs that most of us that are programmers have been working on, and biometrics. So when you talk about distributed ledgers, you're talking about digital retail payments, trading infrastructure. Artificial intelligence is used in many ways: credit scoring, analytics, prediction, personalization, as well. And then with APIs, you have aggregation of different platforms. APIs allow you to aggregate different platforms, and financial marketplaces, banking platform, trading infrastructure. And then for biometrics, you have authentication, identity, and of course, security. These are the 4 main technologies that are being used in financial technology, fintech. Fintech area is also divided into 4 major market segments. Okay, so first we talk about the 4 major technologies that are being used. Then we are going inside the 4 fintech market segments. And inside each one of these market segments, you have a subdivision, and that's why we have those 9 clusters. So those 4 main market segments are digital banking, which many of us are now used to, corporate and SME payments. Many of us too are also using payments now. InsurTech, which goes mainly into insurance, and then of course digital wealth management. And if you go inside the clusters, I've splitted and given the drivers for each one of the areas and the relevant technology that is being used there. So in the clusters for digital banking, you have the retail payments, you have payments infrastructure, you have lending. With corporate and SME payments, you have SME payments, you have corporate payments. With InsurTech, you have life and personal insurance, and claims and benefit handling. Now, this is a huge area. The insurance sector in Nigeria is big. But because most of us are not in many of these areas, we really don't understand how big and the opportunities that are in these areas. And then, of course, digital wealth management, investment, retail trading platforms. I would leave you to, I think the slides and the video will be shared later. You can go more into the key drivers. But I want to go quickly because I feel that there's something more that we need to talk about. Fintech is an area that is still growing rapidly in Nigeria. And when you have an area that is growing rapidly, it means that there is room for you. If you join that area, there's room for you to grow. That's what it means. If you find a business area that is going down and you decide to join that business area, most likely people will tell you that that's a wrong decision to have made. And that is true, because this business area is already on its way down. So let's talk about something that is archaic, an archaic technology that is not being used anymore. So, and then you now decide that that's not what you now want to do. A technology that's been superseded by things that are new, that are faster, that are more efficient, increases productivity, and then you now decide to go inside that. Of course, most likely, a person that says that he wants to be installing the normal telephones that we use in the house. You remember in those days when Nitel engineers were king? I mean, you have people sitting down in Nitel office begging the engineers in those days. And to now say that that's still your skill set that you are keeping and you are going to be in a job, most likely you'll be out of a job. And that's going to take me to some of the things I'll talk about later. So Nigerian fintech space is a growing area. It's forecasted to grow to around 443 million in revenues by 2022. So as of 2017, we had about 153 million US dollars in revenues. And this area is also the area that is commanding the most, attracting the most startup funding. Nigeria is now looking more like the country that's taking the most of the tech funding that comes into Africa. However, within that space, within what comes to Nigeria, fintech takes the biggest size. Within the Q1 of 2020, we have had investments of up to 55.37 million raised within that time. So it's a growing area. It's a place to be. Okay, there is opportunity in this area. And how do we now look at opportunities? That's the next thing. When I talk about opportunities, everybody should understand that opportunities spring out of a necessity. And I know many of us would have seen scenes like this, or might have been involved here, might have experienced, or are even experiencing it on a daily basis. You have a long queues at the banks. You have people suffering in order to make payments, in order to get things, their financial services to reach them. So you have a lot of problems within the Nigeria space that needs to be solved. Whenever there are problems that need to be solved, there is opportunity. And that's what takes me to the challenges. So let's call them challenges. And there are numerous ones. This, what I've listed here, is not exhaustive. You have today, CBN wants financial inclusion. Nigeria has a high number of financially excluded persons. We have low smartphone penetration. It's like 20%. CBN also, as part of the policies, wants to run a cashless policy in order to be able to track money flows. So they want to make sure that, okay, we reduce, and of course, even printing money is very expensive also. So there's a lot of good in that. We have problems with internet penetration. However, COVID-19 has made it clear that we won't be able to live a normal life the new normal. What we had before has gone. So internet is going to become fully part of our lives. Now you have a country where you have low internet penetration. You have, as I said earlier, I showed you overcrowded banking halls, you have security issues, and you have a high number of unbanked or underbanked population. This is not exhaustive. But wherever you see a cluster of problems, wherever you see problems, what you have there is an opportunity for someone to bring a solution that takes care of those. And that's what many of the companies that you have seen are doing. Okay, you've seen payments, you've seen Paystack, you've seen Quick Teller. We do bills payments, also PayVantage, we do that too. savings and investment, you have a large number of companies that are springing out solutions to address the problems that you have. And it is in solving these problems that your skill sets are now required. The skill set that you have acquired over time. That investment that Engineer Elias talked about that you have to do, okay, to chart a plan for yourself. It is the knowledge and the skill set that you have acquired over, this is now where you're going to apply it. So your skill set does just not exist in a vacuum. I mean, it won't be used unless there are things to be solved that somebody is trying to resolve and needs your skill set. So if you don't have the skill set, what it means is that, of course, you have nothing to sell. The companies are not for profit. They are for profit companies. They are not NGOs. They don't give money away. And that's why in private companies, in the private sector, if you are not doing well, you'll be asked to go. There's no room for low performance. So you have to be on top of your game, and you must make that decision. Nobody is going to make this decision for you. And this is about one of the most important things that we need to tell ourselves. I latch back onto what Engineer Elias said. You have to own it. It's yours. No one else. You've been given all the opportunity. I mean, Allah has provided you the brain, the resources. You completed your BSc. What are you waiting for? You need to add more value to yourself in order that you're able to impact on other lives. So that gives rise to skill sets. And this is not exhaustive again. You have a huge number, programming, which is more common. You have server administration, network design and management. And when I say network design and management, that means even spills out into so many things. So you've got telecoms, you've got inside telecoms itself, you've got IP networks, you have radio networks, you have core network design. All of these are enablers to fintech. So you need people that understand some of these things in order to be able to integrate across broad. There is no solution that doesn't need to be attractive to the customers. So you have user interface, user experience design. The information that you collect, you need to take intelligence out of it. That's why you require analytics. So you have process design and automation, you have product management, and you have also project management. And all of this, in all of everything that I have said here, engineers play a huge role. You are not limited. You can play in any of these roles. And now that we've talked about this differing skill set, I would say, what do you need to be able to play in the fintech arena? So you might have all the skill sets. I've seen situations where I've seen a good programmer, but because he doesn't understand the terrain of the solution, he doesn't know how he could make use of his programming experience to solve the problem. So awareness is something that's very important. This webinar is creating awareness. That is one of the most important take-home that I feel that this webinar will give to participants. Awareness. You need to know. And that takes me to the point about how do you get there? And this word is what I want everyone, all of us to focus on. Reinvent. I mean, don't be stagnant. Reinvent yourself. Every few years, you don't have to stay only in one area. I mean, you are a radio network design. I mean, these are experiences I've had. And sometimes some people will even tell me that, sorry, are you sure you know anything about radio network? And I'll tell them that, sorry, that was a long time ago. Why? Because at a time, I majored inside it. I rose to become national optimization manager and then left that area totally, moved into something else. It is that ability to reinvent that keeps you on top of your game. Without it, you can't be on top of your game. And this is exactly what is needed also to play in any field. And what I'm talking about is industry agnostic. It's the same thing everywhere. You have to make that decision that I must be new. I must be, if I'm version 1 today, in 2 years' time, I need to be version 2. Like Engineer Elias talked about Kuliba Midili. The last time I met him in Mina, giving a presentation on process automation, I started laughing in my mind that Kuli has moved there again. And you see, this is something that is very important. This is what we always need to do. You need to reinvent yourself. Now, this process is very simple. After you've made the decision that you want to hone your career and you want to move, choose an area that you feel. So for example, you want to talk about fintech. So you've been hearing about fintech and you want to go in there. So you want to go in there, delve in. When I say delve in, start, get information. Who are the players in this area? What papers or write-ups are available? How do I get an overview? And you are so lucky now today that we have the internet and you can Google anything and find out information and read. So the first thing that you hone yourself is to delve in. Take a step inside it. And then keep on going inside it, find information, read, take care, get more, then learn in the process. So if you have friends that are already in that field, get closer to them. Watch the circle that you have around you that will help you deepen that knowledge that you have. When you learn, and then you can then now see where to adapt your old knowledge, whatever you have before, into this new one to propel you into that new field. That's how you get there. And what I'm saying, as I said, is industry agnostic. It is everywhere. It is like that. You need to reinvent yourself. You need to go into a new area. You need to just do that. Delve inside it. So I have one example, and I want to use this one because it's a personal experience. Some years ago, as I said, I was National Optimization Manager. And I started looking at it that, okay, I've covered this area. Where in the whole of the network does it look like I am missing? As in, I don't fully understand what is happening here. So I identified the charging and the intelligent network space. And I took a textbook. I found textbooks on the internet. I found overview and everything. I started studying and then reading in my spare time. And you had the opportunity to do also free trainings on the Alcatel-Lucent learning space at that time too, learning management system. So I applied for many courses like that and started going into it. So the whole thing started becoming less of a Greek. I started I got to being able to engage in conversations with experts in that field. And then gradually, I came to be able to critique and to work with them and to tell them, no, this is not supposed to be. However, the breakpoint happened when my CTO decided that one day that he's going on leave. And then he always just decided that out of the people reporting to him, he just said, Fahid, I'm traveling and the person that's going to deputize for me is you, Fahid. I was like, why me? Because there are guys that are core network experts there. Okay. So, but it was just in time that I had been studying. The day he left, they had a problem on the iron. And the program manager decided that, Fahid, you are representing our CTO. So we prepare, let's go for a meeting tomorrow. Imagine that I had not been preparing myself in that area. I was able to go for that meeting. It was fantastic. Some of the customers tried to give questions that were irrelevant. I was able to point it out to them that, sorry, that question does not arise, that situation, that scenario does not arise. My program manager was so happy. When we left, he said, Fahid, if all the meetings that we go for are like this, then we're in good business. And that was the confirmation that I got. That was how I became CTO. In a year's time after that, the HR started routing as a mentor, and I had a mentor that was saying, "Oh, sorry, Faid is ready to become CTO. Please give him that space." And then a career plan was already set, and they were able to follow you through. But just because one took time to reinvent oneself is what gave the opportunity. So when you learn, the next thing to it is to apply. And just as I said, you have many examples like this. I've my brothers here, Sahid also is a good example that I have. And I have seen many other people, many other friends in the industry that have been able to reinvent themselves and change course and change where they are and move into new things. And that is the key to surviving. That is the key to getting your own space, being known, building your brand. All of those things are about reinventing yourself all the time. Make sure that you're on top of your game. So in summary, the process of reinvention is what will get you, whether it's robotic process automation, or it is cybersecurity, or it is networking systems, or it is cloud infrastructure management, or it is fintech. You need to have one skill set that is good, that you are grounded in. Two, this new area you want to go in, delve in, understand that space. Then learn more about that space. And then you will then be able to see exactly areas where you can apply your knowledge and you can use the expertise that you have previously to propel yourself in that direction. So I leave you with just some part of the use cases that I mentioned earlier. Payments and remittances are issues in Nigeria that needs to be solved. Mobile lending is quite common now, and you can see how you are having message. You won't believe how much money people that are doing mobile lending are taking as revenue at the end of the year. Because of the sheer number of subscribers that you have in Nigeria and the analytics that is available to them, it affords them the opportunity to be able to suggest to you also. Digital banking, wealth management, and then InsurTech. InsurTech is still growing also. It's a payments and remittances is really the biggest part right now that people are aware of in fintech, followed by digital banking mainly. But you have opportunities in all of these other areas. We pray Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala continues to guide us aright, assist us with our plans and our dreams. And my parting shot to every one of us is to understand that the ball is in our court. Allah has already provided us the opportunity to be here. But to take the decision that I want to move towards success is an individual decision. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala grant us success. Ameen. Subhanallah.
Jazakumullah khairan. It's been mind-boggling. I recall it takes me back to, I think, my 100 level when Engineer Faid came to Ekpe for professional seminar. That was the first time I ever saw him, and I would say he has repeated the same thing again. He has wowed me. He delivered this lecture from the comfort of his car, and he was still able to deliver this level of quality. I will tell you, you don't get opportunities like this very often, and we can only pray that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala rewards him and makes him continue to be a role model for everyone that aspires to succeed in his careers. So we are time is fast spent. We would be moving straight to a couple of questions we have. Apologies if we are unable to take your question. We would look for a better forum or another opportunity where we can address all of these questions and attend to them one by one. I guess on my screen, you can see part of the resources that would help get started. This is from Adekunle Bamidele as regards RPA, UiPath, some YouTube videos, academy.uipath. So please, let's get started. Let's not, as Brady has said, the opportunity is for us to speak up and claim it. So please let us get started and get learning. Okay, so I will take the first question first question directed at Brother Saeed Balogun. Sorry, do we still have him?
Yes, I'm here.
Okay. Sorry. So someone is asking Ibrahim Idowu. He says, so how do you know what is happening in terms of trends? Where can you how can you keep up with all of this new trends?
Okay.
Getting up to date with things that are new in the tech space from an infrastructure ICT perspective.
Okay. For me, typically what I would say is one source of trend information is Google. So if there are broad spaces in technology, so whether it's fintech, whether it's data security, just put in there in Google security trends, and you will see a couple of sites that you can follow, because these sites keep, changing every now and then. If it's data center space, there is data center trend. Even Google itself has opportunity for you to subscribe to this trend through Google itself. So once you've subscribed, Google will just be dropping, emails to you when any of the keyword matches your choice space within the technology world. So there is no fixed site for the trends. In the past, there used to be some sites that were popular, but Google has taken over everybody, because information right now is scattered around different sites. But through artificial intelligence, Google Trends. So just go to Google Trends and select, the trends of your choice, and you will be getting emails. Just make sure you choose exactly what you want. Otherwise, your inbox will be filled with information about trends. Thank you.
So the next question would also direct it at Brother Said. So in terms of intelligence flights, or how would I say it, in terms of the question out there today is with the volume of people that skilled people that keep leaving the Nigerian economy, from a government side, from a policy side, are there any initiatives that you think can be tapped into to retain these skills, so that rather than shipping them abroad, they can help build our whole infrastructure revamp / reinvention?
Okay. From a government policy side, I'm not authorized to answer government policy questions at my level. So I would not be able to give you a government policy answer. But as a technology enthusiast, what I would say is this. There is a benefit to resources leaving the country. And of course, there is the demerits. But by and large, when you weigh these things together, I think in the long run, there will be benefits for people leaving the shores of this country once they have acquired the skills that is in demand outside the shores of the country. Because if you look at the way the Chinese, for example, have developed, you cannot develop a technology locally when you have not experienced the technology. It's very difficult to do. So experience, if you stay here and there is a technology, and we are 20 years behind on a particular technology, and you stay here, you say you want to study here, you want to practice here, you're still in the category of a dreamer. That's the way it is in the technology world. So you would need some things to bootstrap you, to get you up to speed. Today, you can learn some things online. Imagine you want to be an astronaut and you're sitting here in Nigeria. Who's going to provide you that rocket to fly to space? Or you want to be a nanotechnology specialist. Is there any institution that has the capability to train you and give you the opportunity to skill you up? So there are a lot of skills like that that are missing. And one of the ways to get it is, to go out of the shores of this country to acquire it. But what I'll tell you is from the Chinese experience and from the India experience is that if, as a government, there is enough enabling environment for these people to come back when they need to come back, then I believe that way we could gain from that initial exploit of those who have traveled abroad. So today you see the Chinese, they're doing their own military jets, they're doing their own warship, they're building their own routers, they're building their own data centers. It's primarily because at some point their people have migrated abroad, acquired skills, and the government has created an enabling environment for them to, what we call, reintroduce those skills back into the local economy. So that's what I would say will be, an action that the government can take to, reabsorb those skills. And I think the Nigerian government is trying to do things like that. We have the Nigerian Diaspora Organization, now the Nigerian Diaspora Commission. So I believe the diasporans have an opportunity to interact, so they could come up with ideas they have through that commission. And I would believe, those things will gradually reverse themselves back into the country. Thank you.
Okay, Jazakumullah khairan. Thank you very much for that insightful response. Next question would be for Adekunle Bamidele. Sorry, do we still have him? Hello?
Yes.
Okay. Sorry. Some
Yes.
questions as it relates to RPA. So looking at opportunity for, since RPA is very futuristic, it encompasses Internet of Things, automating things. Are you looking at getting this into the academia such that, so for example, LASU now, so for example, they introducing a course saying probably in your third year or your fourth year, you take a course on RPA. So are you looking into those areas at all?
Well, thank you very much. Thank you for the question again, and thanks for all the speakers. I've learned a lot here. Thank you so much. Well, we actually have a passion for the university, and also ensuring that we're able to localize this knowledge and also solutions in Nigeria. What I mean by localization is for Nigerians to be able to do their own things, and see how they can grow the economy with it. So, based on that, there's a University Alliance program that one of our partners, UiPath, is currently running. We'll introduce it to LASU, UNILAG, and like 8 or 10 other universities. For LASU has an opportunity now they have like 60,000 free software licenses that their students can use. 60,000, I can guarantee you. You were supposed to, we did a mini, it's free from them. We did a mini, I think it's CDC, if I remember very well. There's a section in LASU that is probably CDC in Ojo. Sometimes in February, we did a small seminar. We're supposed to extend it to Ekpe and other places. So the idea is that students can download these, software licenses and, start building their own process automation, understand it. The resources are there, but how to get to the students, of course, is a challenge. So that has been done for I'm sure 8 universities already in Nigeria, and we've been able to deliver like 400,000 licenses. So.
Awesome, nice. Okay, sorry. So somebody's asking as regards getting the presentation packs. We would work on that, and we would get back to everybody that registered if that's a possibility. But it's something we would explore, and we would hope our lecturers would also be willing to. So lastly, a question for Brother Elias. So we are in the period with the current healthcare challenges with the global pandemic, COVID, currently ravaging the world. How can you say, sorry, and this is specifically for you because you have some background in healthcare. So how can you say technology can be of a service in these kinds of scenarios? Can you just give us some insight into that?
Yeah, Jazakumullah khairan. So a couple of things. So before I answer that question, if you don't mind, you can give me like 45 seconds. I just want to reinforce what Brother Said said earlier when he talked about people leaving the shores of Nigeria to go get the skill sets that they cannot get in Nigeria. So, and he used China and India as an example. Those are very legitimate examples. But for some of us, those examples may be examples that are a bit far-fetched. But let me give us some practical examples of creating an enabling environment. Look at South Africa. I rarely find South Africans in North America. I rarely find South Africans. They come here, they school, they go back home. Right now, today, AWS has opened up an AWS region in South Africa, not Nigeria, but in South Africa. Right now, what that means is when you're launching an AWS service, you can actually choose South Africa as a region where your instances can be deployed. That's number one. Number two, I'm going to bring it very close to home now. Over the last 2-3 years, we have seen a migration of Ghanaians back home. My Ghanaian friends, even working in my company, told me I'm going back home. I'm like, are you crazy? Go back home to do what? Go Masino, ni Ghana. But apparently things have changed over there. Now they have 24-hour lights. You see Nigerians even moving to Ghana, right? It's a 45-minute flight to Ghana from Lagos, right? So Ghanaians are going back home. So I strongly believe, to what Saeed has said, strongly believe that if the enabling environment is there, right, where you don't have to, and we don't necessarily mean remove all the hops you have to cross, but at least just give us a semblance of an enabling environment. Oh, so many of us are going to go back home. Nobody wants to stay in winter. We all want sunlight. But anyways, a bit of digression. I just wanted to put that out there. Now, so the question, if I understand clearly, is how can in the COVID area, in the COVID situation now, how can technology still help advance healthcare, right? Healthcare services. Good question. Now, think of it this way. When I go for my annual appointment or medical appointments, right now, today, as I speak to you, I don't go to the hospital. I don't go. They won't even allow you come because of COVID. Everything is done online. They do teleconference. We call it teleconferencing, where you have it's more, they call it video conferencing. It's video conferencing per se, but what happens is they bring healthcare to your doorsteps, where you can actually conduct visits without having to go to the physically present at the clinics. There's something else called predictive medicine in healthcare. Now, predictive medicine, right? It uses AI as well, AI technology that somebody can sit back home, deploy something, and then start generating healthcare insights. We have seen situations where in some rural parts of US, places like Alabama, Mississippi, those rural parts of US that do not necessarily have big hospitals in those areas, you have found people do surgery remotely. What do I mean by that? You have nurses, you have clinicians in the surgical room, then you have the lead surgeon somewhere else, and they are directing the equipment that would perform the surgeries remotely. Now, of course, this needs absolute internet technology. The network has to be fast. It has nothing more. Just imagine you're doing surgery and then the network goes down. So, but these are some ways in which technology, the reinforcement of using technology to perform healthcare services and to deliver medical services as even further, it's even much more prominent now with this COVID. people are going to start shifting again. So many people are going to start shifting to virtualized, we call it virtualized medicine, as against going to the clinics and whatnot. I hope that helps.
Jazakumullah khairan. Thank you
Right.
very much. I would want to very send a very deep appreciation to all the panelists. I will tell you, these are panel discussions that you would ordinarily pay for to attend. The quality of lecture, the quality of engagement, the quality of discourse has been top notch. I will tell you, so please, as we have been rightly informed, this series of webinar continues. You would see on my screen the next set of webinar discussions that would be coming up. You would see that we've catered for typically every facet of our professional development, from entrepreneurship to academia to oil and gas to the versatile engineer in the 21st century. Please, let's make it a date for all of these sessions and let us endeavor to attend. Further details will be communicated by the GC. And for all other questions we've been unable to take, we are so sorry. We've exceeded our time. And once again, I would like to thank every facilitator and every participant. You have made this a success. Please let us join the other sessions as they come up. We'll be closing up with Surat al-Fatiha. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. Ar-Rahmanir Rahim. Maliki Yawmiddin. Iyyaka na'budu wa iyyaka nasta'in. Ihdina siratal mustaqim. Siratal ladzina an'amta alayhim. Ghayril maghdubi alayhim waladdallin. Ameen. Jazakumullah khairan to everybody. We are indeed very grateful. Thank you.